All right, so we're going Facebook Live and we're going YouTube for people that can't make it tonight, just in case they have other things that they're watching.
Yeah.
And you guys get big. We're giving away $100 to each person that comes tonight and sacrifices watching the game. So, yeah. So we're also going to do our YouTube channel. So if you're not able to make it tonight and want to watch tonight's, it's going to be on our Peak YouTube channel. So we'll be able to get it. So tonight, this is Christy Gabbert, our registered dietitian here at Peak. I'm Brian Jansen, fitness director at Peak. So tonight our goal is just to give you the tools to be successful for this 8 weeks. So with Peak Body there is all the exercise going on, the workouts. You have your little Peak Body booklets with those assignments in them. So lots of fun variety that you guys get to do over these 8 weeks. Trying to win your prizes, getting in great shape. But as we know, without the food component, your efforts are futile. I think we've lived long enough to know that, hey, if I just work out and I eat like however I want to eat without any focus, that my results are going to be subpar or nothing. It's just, yeah, that's just the way it works. So we all understand that, right? We've been around long enough to know. So we're going to bring the food component tonight. Raise your hand if you've done your in-body test for body fat comp. Okay, so pretty much everybody here, that's great. So we're going to utilize that tonight. And if you're at home, grab your in-body. We're going to do some calculations just to determine how much calories you should be getting in, how much protein you should be intaking. So we'll be utilizing that tonight.
Yeah.
So.
Perfect. So by now, like Brian said, you should have your coupon book, you should have your calorie tracking sheets, you should have done your in-body. And then also just wanted to touch on it too, when you're signing up for your move classes and your group fitness classes, going on to Mind Body and doing that. And so if you have questions about that, letting us know. And then quickly too, just also it's always more fun when you're with friends and family. So grab people to join you with it. We are going to let people sign up through the end of the week too. So before we get into your in-body, so hopefully everyone's had a chance to grab that real quick. In Peak Body 80-20, what does the 80-20 mean for a prize?
80 food.
Okay, yeah, she said, what was your name?
Julia.
Julia, okay, so Julia, say it loud so we can hear you.
80 nutrition, 20 exercise.
Perfect, so Julia gets some classic almond butter. Here, cut. We're having more prizes throughout, so.
All right, first question. Yeah, 80% nutrition. So yeah, you win a little prize for that.
Yeah.
Okay, diving into the in-body here. You have this big sheet, a lot of information. It can be overwhelming. So at the left here, you have your muscle fat analysis, and it's going to break it down into your weight, your skeletal muscle mass, and your body fat mass. And so over here we have these numbers. So weight, total weight in this example is 193.2 pounds of total weight. And the skeletal muscle mass is 65.5 pounds of weight. And then the last one, body fat mass, 75.7 pounds. So what you can do is just look at this, and I wrote CID over here. So the shape, you can see it kind of creates a C right here.
When you connect all that.
So that shape means that you have greater body fat than you do muscle mass. And so our goal is to be able to move towards bringing the skeletal muscle into higher numbers and the body fat into lower numbers, and potentially the weight down also. So you're moving more towards an I shape where it just flattens out. So wherever you are, ninja training there, wherever you are, you're just trying to move towards the next step. So if I'm in a C shape, I'm trying to move towards an I. If I'm in an I shape, then I'm trying to move towards a D, where my skeletal muscle is way up here, right? So
Yeah, or you're just losing your body fat.
yeah, so this goes up, yeah, or this is coming down this way, right? So now you're here, this is up here, this is back here, and then you create more like a D shape like that. So that's the goal, is to eventually get to that point where, okay, I have more muscle mass than I do body fat on the body. So that's just something for little goals. And then down below here, obesity analysis on your sheet. That's just right in the middle. So BMI is not body fat percentage. That's based, what's that? Body mass index. So that's what the insurance companies will use to determine if you have a healthy weight or an unhealthy weight. So the problem with BMI is you can be heavy, but 5% body fat, right? If I'm a bodybuilder, I got a lot of muscle on my body, I'm gonna be overweight or potentially obese to the insurance company, right? And then so I'm gonna have to pay more insurance just because I'm a higher risk, even though it's like, doctor, look at me, I'm like 5% body fat, please. Like, why do I have to pay more? So that's the way that is. So percent body fat is, I think, a better indication of your overall health in regards to your weight, right? So I could be 193 pounds with 150 pounds of muscle and 43 pounds of body fat, right? So it's not just the weight, it's the percentage. And that's why we do this percent body fat. So these little arrows here, the low arrow on this one for BMI or neutral, and for percent body fat, well, if you're in the lower or neutral here, that's good, that's healthy. If we're in the upper ones here, again, like I said, if it's a higher one with the BMI, then potentially it's okay if you have more muscle. And then percent body fat, we'd want that to get down eventually into this healthier range. So in the 8 weeks, right, we have a certain amount we can attain. So if I'm at, what's the percent body fat here? If I'm at 39.1% and my goal weight is 23% body fat, right? So eventually I want to get to that point. That's a healthy body fat for female. I'm not going to do that in 8 weeks, right? So I might get 4%, 6%, and that'll get me down, moving in the right direction. So we're not going to attain our ultimate goal in these 8 weeks. For some of us, some of you may be closer to that goal, and you will. So, yeah, you got the next.
So, went over muscle fat analysis, obesity analysis, and then the next part on here is the segmental lean analysis. And so that's going to break down each part of your body. Okay, so you see it says right arm, left arm, trunk, right leg, left leg. And so this can help you and also your trainer determine, okay, what do I want out of my workout regimen? Okay, so a lot of times you'll see, like in our example here, arms, good, so right arm, left arm, trunk, but then right leg and left leg significantly less than the arms. So this is showing us, okay, maybe when we're lifting weights or when we're doing our workout, we need to focus more on our lower half because that's going to allow us to build more muscle, okay? So also great for if you have an injury, and you're rehabbing and knowing, all right, when have I reached that point where I find that more symmetry through my body? And so that's where it's nice when you're looking at that segmental lean analysis to determine how should I focus my workouts and what's going on, throughout your body there. So a lot of times people will be like, oh, I have no upper body strength. I hear that a lot from women, but then when we look at their scans, it's like, well, really, we got to work on that lower half more. That's where you're gonna get the biggest bang for your buck through your workouts. So that would be segmental lean analysis there. And then also going on through this, so Brian hit on, you have your weight, you have your skeletal muscle mass, and you have your body fat mass. So this skeletal muscle mass right here is the lean tissue in your body or the muscle mass in your body, and this is directly going to affect your BMR. Who knows what BMR means? Julia!
Basal metabolic rate.
Basal metabolic rate. So elaborate elaborate on that.
It's when you're resting, what calories you're burning when you're resting.
Yeah, so calories burning at rest. So if you burn 1,500 calories a day sitting doing nothing, and you eat 1,500 calories a day, you're gonna maintain your weight, okay? If you're eating more than that, you're gonna start gaining weight. If you're eating less than that, you're gonna start losing weight. So this is helpful in determining the calories that you need each day, and we're gonna go into that a little bit more. But again, this is just at rest. This is no activity. This is not your work, you know. So just at rest. Now your skeletal muscle mass, interesting little fact, the more this goes up, the higher this is gonna get because our muscle is metabolically active tissue, okay? So this is a tricky question, and I have to look at it so I get it right. But, okay, for every pound of muscle you gain, how many more calories do you burn a day, do you think? Anybody?
Give us some guesses. You might win something.
Guesses. Yeah, I have prizes. So for every pound of muscle, I wish, for every pound of lean muscle mass that you have, like, that you gain, how many more calories a day do you think you burn? 50? Okay, anybody else?
Closer, getting warmer.
100?
100. Somewhere in
Between 50 and 100. What? 70!
Oh.
Yes. So, here, you get some epic
Jerky.
chicken jerky. So good. And clean. Yeah. All right, so 70 more calories. So you, I mean, think about it. In that 8 weeks, and how many pounds of muscle can you gain in 8 weeks?
Good question. How much muscle can I gain in 8 weeks? Usually when you're trying to drop body fat or drop weight, you're not looking to gain a lot of muscle. So during like a cutting phase, right, I'm dropping body fat, the goal should really just be to maintain and just have this number come down, this number come down. Once you get down to your goal body fat composition, then it's like, okay, now I'm gonna up my calories to the point where I have enough resources, calorie-wise, nutrient-wise, to actually facilitate that muscle growth. You know, so here's a unique thing. If you haven't been working out at all, there is this like sweet window of like 6 weeks where you start lifting weights and your body will respond. You know, but if you have been active and working out, and then your muscles are used to that, and then you start dropping body fat, dropping your calories, usually you're just gonna be maintaining that. So if you have been doing nothing and you jump in, yeah, you might see 2-4 pounds in that 8 weeks. But again, you're dropping the calories, so you don't have a lot of resources. But
you want to hold on to all that you got, because when you're losing your weight, you don't want to lose the skeletal muscle mass, because this is what's helping you burn those calories, right? And so we'll talk a little bit more on how to maintain that.
But I will say that's probably one of the most significant factors for yo-yoing or rebounding your weight is what we're talking about here. If I drop a pound of muscle because I'm only eating 1,200 calories, but I'm burning 3,000 calories, my deficit is so huge that my body starts gobbling up muscle for fuel. It starts breaking it down just so it can consume it for fuel, turn it into sugar, right? So now it goes down to 1,430 after I just lost a pound. And then it goes down to 1,300, 1,200. Pretty soon my base metabolic rate is down to 1,200 at the end of this, and I get on the scale, I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. My clothes fit better, everything's better, but my metabolism is slower. So if I start eating like I was eating, then it all comes back super fast, and then you get depressed and sad. And, yeah, so that would be the main thing is just preventing this from going lower. Yeah, it may be getting a little more.
Yeah. So BMR, lots of good information from the scan, and that's definitely one of them, one of the good things. Visceral fat is another one. So everybody on your in-body scan, you can find it has basal metabolic rate, and then under that there's a visceral fat level. Okay. So this takes into account gender, age, body, what's your body composition. And it's showing, so visceral fat, in this example, the level is 17, okay? So anything above 10 is going to put you in high risk, okay? So by being under 10, you're really at a 50% less chance of a disease state, okay? So inflammation in the body, disease state, and this visceral fat is literally the fat around your organs, okay? And what else did you have to touch on that?
Oh, just in our research of the visceral fat, this fat around the organs, it can actually start to create toxic hormones in your body. So if you're over this part where it's just too high, it kind of becomes almost an organ to itself and starts creating some bad stuff. So that's definitely a number you want to see going down. And again, it's not like if you're way up here at 17, the goal isn't to be like at 5 and 8 weeks. It's just as long as we're moving in that direction, let's celebrate. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It takes some patience. And then moving into your goal weight. So this is a place where people can get really unhealthy expectations. So, okay, I'm at 193 pounds, I want to get down to 150, right? So they get so focused on getting to that number that, like we said, they'll sacrifice the muscle, right, to get there. So I'm just going to eat like a bird. I'm going to eat 1,000 calories a day, burn 4,000 in calories, and lose a lot of that. So what you want to do is to figure out a healthy goal weight in the 8 weeks. You want to do it with maintaining that body fat, with maintaining the skeletal muscle. Get rid of the body fat with maintaining the skeletal muscle. So this is an equation, and again, this will be on the Facebook video, also our YouTube one, so you can go back. You don't have to do all the calculations right now. But essentially what you're doing is your lean mass in pounds. So you go up to the top of your body, of your in-body, you find your lean mass, that's all your muscle, your bones, everything but the water, everything but the body fat. So on this one, it's 117.5 pounds of lean mass. So you go 117 divided by 1 minus your desired body fat. So down here, we show you the example for this person. So 117.5 pounds of lean mass divided by 1 minus 0.35. So her body fat percentage right now is 39.1%, and she wants to lose 4% body fat during this 8 weeks, which is a healthy goal. You know, if you lose 4% in 8 weeks, that's fantastic. Maybe 6 at the most. Yeah, that's great. If you've just lost like 1 to 2%, then maybe you haven't eaten enough or haven't eaten enough protein or haven't been lifting weights, right? So through this, you got to be lifting those weights, give your body a reason to keep them, and get enough calories, and make sure you're getting enough protein also. So I think 4% is a fantastic number. So 39.1 minus 4 is 35.1. Move the little decimal point over, so that's the 35%. 1 minus that, and that equals 0.649. So 181 is going to be the total weight that she can achieve during this time without losing any skeletal muscle. And that's just getting that body fat down 4%. Hasn't lost any muscle. Goal weight of 181. So that's a weekly number of 1.5 pounds per week of just pure body fat. So that's great. So again, you can revisit that, and you can also connect with us too, right?
Yeah, so your trainers that you're working with can help you with these goals as well. So when you're at your club, you'll have trainer files, or that you can put your in-body, a copy of your in-body in, so that you can be in communication with those trainers regarding that as well. And always reach out to Brian and I here, or Julie and Hayden is awesome too, and can get you connected if you're needing help with this as well. Okay?
Okay, I got a question.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. What is a healthy body fat composition for a male? 18%. Yes, that's what I had. It was 18%.
So this is an RX bar. Oh, good. good. Yeah,
And
you're
you're a
like,
girl.
I need some dinner.
You're a girl, you got it. Nice job. Yeah. What'd you get? What'd you win? RX bar, okay. Nice. Really? Oh, that's perfect. All right.
Okay, so a lot going on with the InBody. Hopefully this was helpful in kind of determining, okay, where am I at? Where do I need to be? Some goals, what's reasonable for 8 weeks. So lots of good information on there. And now we're gonna go into our calorie tracking sheet. So I blew this up. I was gonna get some tape and put it on here. Yeah, Brian will go get me some tape. I'm gonna flip this over to our, oh, wrong way. I guess I'm not flipping it over. Turn it around. It's gonna be our food stuff, not our Spartan stuff. So I'm just gonna take this here, but I know online you won't really be able to see this, but in general, you can grab your calorie tracking sheets too. So, all right. So with our we talked about BMR and basal metabolic rate, but also there's RMR, which is like a resting metabolic rate, and that is going to take into what? Consideration, yes. Your different activities that you are doing throughout the day, minimal, not like exercise, but walking around, moving, doing that stuff. So if you take your body weight times either 11 if you're a female or 12 if you're a male, that's going to give you an estimated RMR, okay? And that's what we're going off here. So if we took our gal and the example was 193 pounds and we times that by 11, that gives us 2123. So in her RMR, that's 2123, okay? So that number would go there. So each day, so each one of these little sheets that you got have 2 weeks worth. So she's gonna write, okay, Monday I consumed 1,500 calories. I burned 500 doing my move workout. And so that equals 1,500 minus 500, my net is 1,000. And then minus my RMR, which is 2123. So my deficit is 1123. That's a huge deficit, okay? That's a little bit overboard. If she wants to go from 193 to that 181, right? That's about 1.5 pounds a week, which is about a 700 calorie deficit a day. So as her trainer, I'd be like, okay, well, lady, you're gonna lose your muscle. It's pushing a little bit too far. We're not gonna be able to stay consistent here. So we talk, she's like, all right, so consume 2,000 calories, burn that 500, net is 1,500, RMR 2123, deficit 623. All right, we're getting there, okay? So this is where each day, marking down what you consumed, what you burned, looking at your RMR and seeing where your deficit is. Then at the end of the week, you can see your total deficit or your weekly deficit. Divide that by 3,500, because how many calories are in a pound? 3,500, okay? And that's gonna give you your predicted weight loss. So this is a way that we can see, okay, I'm predicted to lose this much, I lost this much, what's going on here, you know? So sometimes in the beginning you might lose a little bit more, you know, this can kind of be up and down, but this is a great way to be in communication with your trainer, and so we can kind of see what's going on. Now, a lot of times people don't like to freehand things like this or, you know, look up all that information. So if you're technologically savvy, MyFitnessPal is great. They have an app, and you can scan foods and it'll pop right up. There's really just about anything in there. Lots of restaurants even have their stuff in there. So that's a great way to track your food intake. Does anybody else have a calorie tracking or food tracking app that they like? Yeah. What was that? Chronometer. Is that with a K?
CHR.
Chronometer. Okay. Your Fitbit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So and also like with your Fitbits, Apple Watch, your MyZone, if you haven't got one, $5 off coupon in your ticket book. Those will all tell you too how many calories you burned, so you're knowing, where you're at with your. These are going to be mostly your workout calories. Okay. So tracking that intake, seeing, where you land each week, and if you're on track for your weight loss.
Okay, another question. In regards to tracking your food, what is the percentage of results that you will improve by just by adding tracking into your day? What percentage of improved benefits or results can you get just by tracking your food, journaling your food, using your
25%.
She's got it again, 25%.
Do you need another bar?
I didn't know this.
I didn't eat dinner, so.
You're like, here you go. There's your protein. Now here's your healthy fats and your
Yeah.
carbohydrates.
Okay, so she won her favorite bar. Yeah, and she didn't eat dinner. Yeah, perfect.
No
perfect
sugar
timing.
after dessert.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so 25% is huge. That's huge. So just by becoming a conscious eater, right? Just writing it down, like you have to think about it. Yeah, that's not even including like getting this detailed about it, just tracking a little bit. So just becoming a conscious eater, because generally we know what's good, what's bad, what's going to get us to our goals and what's not, right? So yeah, love the tracking part of it. One thing that's not up here is that I think is probably the most important. Let's go ahead.
You're asking the wrong attitude.
2 T's and attitude?
Yes.
Okay, good. Good, I'm glad I was in the right. Yeah, so attitude is, I think, above everything. If we're doing it for the wrong reasons, if we're trying to drop weight, get leaner for the wrong reasons, usually it doesn't last. It's not going to really, you're not going to get there. So really check your attitude. What's my motivation? What's my drive in regards to getting to this goal? And then in regards to what I'm going to be eating, right? That's got to be like way up there. And then second to that would be like your mental, your self-talk, right? So a lot of people get into food and they start saying, I can't have this, I can't have that. And then your friends are like, oh, you can't have this, you can't have that because you're on a diet, and it just this can't, and that just grows the want, right? Then you just want it more and more until finally you may get to your goal, and then you're just like, all right, finally I'm just gonna eat it, and then that leads to eating everything. Yeah. So I think most of us have been there, right? Yeah. So when I try, so I'll do like my triathlons every year. I got to bike up these really steep hills, so I try to I try to get a little lighter because it makes it a lot easier. So I try to have healthy self-talk of like, no, I can eat this. I'm just choosing to eat this instead because I have this goal of climbing up this hill and not falling over on my bike. So whatever your goal is, right, you just have to have that. It takes discipline because you'll get those thoughts. I can't. So replace that with I can, and then why, you're just choosing not to. So next would be water. I've been a trainer like over 20 years, and you see patterns of what works, what doesn't work. Number one thing I've seen is water. So when people are drinking their water, even if they're not doing perfect on their food or exercise, I see like this factor alone seems to really help people get good results. So I would put that above everything. I brought my little glass jug here. So this is my daily water supply. So glass or stainless steel, so you don't kill the dolphins or whales or whatever, or yourself. More importantly, yourself. Cancer and all that. Yeah, it's no good. So yeah, I just try to get a gallon a day. Do we have enough treats for another question?
We have one more treat.
You want to save it?
I do.
Okay, yeah, she's got to go. So half your body weight in ounces of water is your minimum, right? So that's what you're losing throughout the day, and you can lose more than that if you're working out, or if you have a job where you're talking a lot. That expiration or air conditioning sucks all the moisture out of you, right? So you got to get at least half your body weight in ounces of water per day, right? So. And then if you're working out, so I'd probably go another quart on top of that, maybe a gallon unless you're really petite. But again, I just see really good results. If you drink too much, you dilute your electrolytes in your body, you feel horrible. 5 gallons of water in a day or 1 gallon in an hour could potentially kill you. So too much of a good thing is not always good. Yeah, so. And then going into protein, back to your in-body, a really simple calculation for how many grams of protein you should be getting in a day is I just look at my lean body mass and then I'm just like, there it is. So a lot of equations are off of your body weight, but again, it's like I could be 200 pounds, 150 pounds of muscle, or 100 pounds of muscle. My metabolism, which is on the other side, my metabolism is gonna be totally different. You know, what my muscles need to maintain will be completely different. So this is easy. I go to lean body mass, 1 gram per pound of lean mass. So in this example, it was 117.
So you just take your lean body mass times 1, essentially.
There you go.
That's
So that's your grams of protein.
Of protein.
Right. And if you don't know sources of protein, chicken, fish, beef, pork, shrimp, eggs, right? Those are your whole food proteins, all the little amino acids your body can go build muscle, build lean tissue, right? And so when you get into talking about like beef, people get kind of concerned of like heart attacks, right? So if it's a fattier piece of meat, usually if the animal is eating good stuff, right, pasture raised, then good stuff will be in the meat. It will be in the fat, right? When you eat salmon, when you eat the fat of the salmon, do you think, oh, this is going to give me a heart attack? No, you think this is going to help my heart. It's because of what the salmon eats. So the salmon's eating the algae, which is full of omega-3s, so that gets into the fatty tissue of the salmon. Same thing with the cow. It's out pasture raised, eating all the greens and all that stuff out in the grass. So all those beneficial anti-inflammatory properties, omega-3s, are going to be in the animal fat and the butter and the dairy. You know, so just keep that in mind when you're going for animal fat. It's okay if the animal's eating good stuff, and even if it's not, it may still be better than this one. But we'll get to that later. Yeah, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. Well, and kind of what Brian was talking about with your protein and choosing quality. I always say, you know, quality versus quantity, and also quality in choosing. I say always choose God food versus man food. Okay, so if something is naturally created versus created in a factory, you're on the right track. Okay, so. And everything's kind of at a gradient too. You know, I always like to say, okay, yogurt, for instance. You have Yoplait yogurt, and then you have raw yogurt. Okay, raw, high-fat yogurt. Okay, and so find something in that gradient. You know, you don't have to be perfect, but you can probably find a better option than a Yoplait high-sugar, low-protein yogurt. Okay, and so really trying to focus on that quality, and again, just that saying of God food versus man food.
All right, so I'll bounce back to sugar here. So sugar is my little smiley face next to that. Who here does not like sugar? Yeah, nobody, right? Yeah, I like it too. It's yummy. I think it's more addicting than heroin, is what I've heard. Would you guys agree? Not that we've tried heroin, but you could probably imagine. Yeah, yeah. So it's you're like, okay, I'm strict, I'm focused, and then you're doing fantastic. Then somebody offers you a big cinnamon roll, and you're just like, okay, yeah. And then you eat it, and then it just like opens the door. You want more and more and more. So sugar is not bad, right? Sugar's in fruit, right? Sugar's in fruit, sugar's in honey, molasses, right? There's different sources of good sugar, which is fine. So when I'm eating like berries, I get all these nutrients in the berries, but it's low sugar. Or a green apple, I'm getting all this nutrients from the green apple, but it's lower sugar. And I get a lot of fiber in there, so it digests really slow into my body, so I don't have a big sugar spike, insulin spike. I'm not creating that insulin resistance in my cells, where my body just gets sugar after sugar after sugar, carbs and carbs and carbs, and eventually the little cells get fatigued from all the insulin and then become resistant to responding to that insulin. So then you just have high levels of sugar going through your system, destroying your body. I mean, if you think of diabetes, if you know of anybody who's had diabetes, their whole body just starts falling apart, right? Neuropathy, right? Amputations, all that stuff. Cataracts, the sugars bind to these proteins and go through different parts of your body. Non-alcoholic cirrhosis of the liver, right? So it's like, how can I have cirrhosis of the liver? I don't drink, but it's just so much sugar in my diet. Your liver starts building up all that fatty tissue in the liver from overload of the fructose from the sugar. So a lot of bad stuff. So we all know sugar is like not good. And just to connect the dots from that fattier meat, that beef that people connect with heart attacks, right? Sugar is a much bigger factor for having a heart attack. So it goes into your liver, and your liver's response is to produce the small, sticky cholesterol, the VLDL. So that goes around and sticks and creates that plaque buildup. So when you're thinking like, hey, I'm concerned about my heart, don't focus so much on the steak. Focus a ton on the sugar. Try to get that down, but still have it, right? So I'm still going to have some berries, an apple, an orange. The fruit's not going to kill you, right? It's all the processed stuff.
The added sugar.
Yeah, just the high added sugar. Just a little bit of natural sugar in a day is no biggie.
Yeah. So kind of piggybacking on that, finding alternatives. I brought some of my favorite alternatives because that is one thing that I try to focus on is really where can I cut out the added sugar. And so when I'm reading labels, I'm looking, okay, sugar, carbs, not too worried about it if it's natural, like from honey, berries, fruits, stuff like that. But when it's the added sugar, that's when I'm like, okay, I want to stay away from that. So even things like condiments are a big one. So Primal Kitchen is a brand that I like, something that you can find out on the market. A lot of times if they say Whole30, Paleo, keto, things like that, those are some popular keywords that usually are no sugar added in it. So this one is Primal Kitchen Ketchup, so 0 added sugars in that. Thrive Market is one that you can get online, but also Tessemae or Primal Kitchen will have like a barbecue sauce that's no sugar added. Also hopping on Pinterest and looking for making these things yourself. These are going to be more expensive than the regular ones, but you can make them yourself as well. So another one I like that's really yummy is buffalo sauce. Okay. Another thing with these brands too is they're going to have healthier fats in them as well. So fat doesn't make you fat, but unhealthy fats will. So staying away from more like those vegetable oils and going more towards the healthier fats. So coconut oil, avocado oil, butter. Brian and I really like butter, Kerrygold butter. Nuts and seeds, things like that. So this one too, and then also just again finding alternatives. So nut pods is a kind of a cool creamer, right? They're out there, but this is, again, no sugar added. So there's different creamers, there's different things out there. There are alternatives. So it's not that your food has to taste super icky or disgusting, but there's lots of different things out there, alternatives. So finding that no sugar added stuff. Tessemae is another one. This is just a balsamic, but they have a ranch, they have honey mustard. This is really good if you're making like chicken tenders, honey mustard. Okay, so things that, again, no sugar added, really great flavors. So finding those alternatives. This is really good too. I'm not like a keto person per se, but I do like the no added sugars. So this is at Costco, really yummy. Just adding that little bit of flavor. So those are some of my visuals and alternatives.
Yeah, I had a client this morning who was talking about, we were talking about dip. So it's like I have chicken, but it gets kind of bland and kind of boring. You know, so if you can create these sauces, then life's the party. Then it's fantastic. I mean, these foods can be so enjoyable nowadays. So Christy just shared some great alternatives. I forget the brand. I took a picture of it, but it was basically these different sauces, and it had like fermented different foods in it. It was at Pilgrim's.
Oh, the mama culture?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The culture
Local.
mama, or
culture mama. Yeah.
Culture mama.
mama.
But
Yeah.
she sent me a picture. I'm like, wow, these ingredients are awesome.
Yeah.
And she was like, the flavors are incredible. So yeah, I got some chicken, you know, a little dipping sauce or something, but it's like guilt-free dip sauce, right?
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. And then yeah, again with the pricing of it, it can get expensive. So if you can get just a simple recipe, you know, cook it up at home, then you're good. Another one is, going off of sugar, is the bigger picture of carbohydrates. So we talked about protein, and then going into carbs is like, should I go low carb, keto, high carb, maximum bread in my diet, you know? So the way I look at carbohydrates is whole foods, right? Don't do the refined flours, the breads, the pasta, all that kind of stuff. Try to make it whole, you know? So if I go vegetables and fruits, right, full of nutrition, full of fiber, I'm good, right? And then when I go into potatoes and the grains and the rice and, you know, quinoa, oatmeal, all that stuff. So you can have that. I think it's just being strategic with it, right? So again, I can eat whatever I want to eat. I'm just trying to get to this goal, right? And I don't want to deprive myself. So I look at carbohydrates as, okay, I'm just going to be strategic, because when my carbs go up in my blood system, those blood sugar goes up, insulin goes up, and fat burning stops, right? So if I'm digesting these carbs at a slow rate because I have it with a lot of fiber, so I have my white rice with a side of salad or asparagus or something, all that fiber slows it down. So that blood sugar is going to be really level like this. If I just have a straight old, you know, plate of rice, bloop, it just goes straight up, have this big insulin spike, sugar spike, and my fat burning stops until that gets back down and it's processed. So when I'm thinking during the day, hey, I want to keep my insulin levels lower so I can be in a higher fat burning zone. So I don't want to be eating 8 meals a day with carbs in it, right? So yes, my metabolism will be up. I'll be working hard, right? Just processing all that food. But again, I don't want my insulin up. So most of my meals are going to be proteins and healthy fats like we talked about. You know, we talked a little bit about the fats with the animal fats, the butter, right? The avocado, the nuts, all those different things. And then vegetables, right? Vegetables are fiber that's going to make that meal last a lot longer, more satiating, right? So bringing in the carbs, I would say eat your carbs when you're the most insulin sensitive, like post-workout. So if I hit some weights out there, right, I work those muscles, right after that, my muscle cells are going to be very insulin sensitive. So I bring the carbs in, it's all going to go right to those muscles, right? So that's when I'd have my potato, my rice, my quinoa, my oatmeal, whatever. I generally would try to stay away from the first thing in the morning, but I just try to compartmentalize, like 1 or 2 meals a day, get my carbs in, then my other meals are gonna be my vegetables, my proteins, my healthy fats. And ultimately, we're looking at calories. That's number 1. And then you just break this down. I got my protein in, and then I got to figure out how many carbs I'm going to get. Once I figure that out, right, then I'm looking at fats or my other fuel source, and fats are essential, right? You need that. You can't go low fat. Your hormones get all messed up. Testosterone levels start dropping. Your muscle building gets slower. Energy gets lower. Hair starts falling out. Obviously, I'm not eating enough fat, right? Yeah. So definitely capitalize on getting that fat in there and just compartmentalizing those carbs.
And on that too, I mean, you've heard of, okay, count your macros, do this, you need to be at this percentage and all of that, and that can get quite confusing. One thing, just a very simple that I tell people, like, if you want kind of a visual of how to put your plate together, I would say, okay, half a plate of vegetables, a fourth protein, you have your fourth starch or carb, and like I said, God food, not man food, whole foods here, and then making sure you're getting your healthy fats too. Fats also help draw your minerals into your body, so putting butter on your broccoli, and things like that, they're gonna help draw all those minerals into your cells, okay? So kind of a visual here, and then again, maybe some of your meals, you have a little bit more vegetables, a little bit more protein, your starch is a little bit slimmer there, okay? So just a good visual overall too, as far as good nutrition.
Did you have your last question you wanted to do?
I didn't really have a last question, I just wanted to keep this to show as an alternative.
Okay.
So, we could ask the sugar one or the protein one?
Oh yeah,
or
what was the
sugar one? Okay, so how many teaspoons of sugar do you think are in a 12-ounce can of soda? Teaspoons? So you said 12.
She said 52 over here.
Yeah.
52 would probably be, because there is some.
This is teaspoons, this is not grams.
Oh, did we say teaspoons? How many
Yeah,
teaspoons?
how many
Oh.
so not grams
Okay.
of sugar. How many okay, 20. 12 has been the closest so far.
8.
It's somewhere between 8 and 12. 10. Yeah, 10. So 10 teaspoons of sugar and one 12-ounce can of soda. So Heidi, can I show this? Okay. So this is fine. She's not doing anything naughty. This is again one of my favorite little alternatives. So this is a Xevia Soda. So this is what I mean by like a can of soda. So this would have 10 teaspoons of sugar in it if it was like a regular soda, which is a ton. Okay. So Xevia Soda, it's made with stevia, which is just a natural plant. That's a sweetener. So a lot of times in these types of things that don't have the added sugar, you will see Xevia or monk fruit, that type of thing. So if ever I'm going somewhere and I'm not going to be drinking alcohol, or I want something a little different, like I like the Xevia sodas, or sometimes I'll go for kombucha to get those good probiotics in there too. So, okay, you get to try this. So tell me what you think. You said 10, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Can I see that?
We have about 5 minutes. Let's open up for questions. If anybody has any questions. Anybody here have any questions? So that one I got at Super One. They will have it at Pilgrims, and in fact, Costco even sells like 4 big ones of them. I don't think they're hazelnut though. So, but yeah. Yeah, well there you go. Healthy fat, no sugar added, some good flavor in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the right people are winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we went over a lot of info. Do you guys have need any clarification on anything? What? Carb range? Yeah. So that's a great question. That's what we're talking about is carbohydrates and fats are your two fuel sources, your energy sources for your body, right? So keto is going, I'm going to take out all the carbohydrates as an energy source. I'm going to switch over to fats pretty much almost entirely, down to like 20 grams of carbohydrates, right? So in that process, you're changing your whole fuel system there, and it can be a rough road in transitioning into that. If you go that route, I would definitely talk to one of us and say like, hey, I'm interested in that, tell me more information, because electrolytes are critical, your hydration is critical, getting enough calories, enough fat, those are the things that really derail people, I work with a lot of people with autoimmune disorders and health issues, and inflammation drops, so there is some times where that can be beneficial, but you don't want to just kind of follow some, like, hey, this person ate this and this, so you want to be really strategic if you go down that road. I'd say like a healthy range of carbohydrates, I don't know what you would do as a minimum, it's hard to say with your calories. So usually it's a percentage thing. Keto is like a 5%, so like really low. And then I'd say most people,
I'd say most people are gonna do well, lose weight, still have energy, like probably like that 30 or 40%.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. So
at a top.
Yeah. So 30-40% of your calories. So you would have to take your calorie total that you're doing and times that to get your and then divide it by 4 to get your grams. So if you guys need help with that equation, we can go over that more. But
yeah, then the rest of your fuel comes from fats. So
yeah.
they kind of like
and protein.
yeah. Right. What you don't want to do is just like drop the protein, have high fat, high carbs. That's like your American diet. Yeah, it doesn't work.
You're gonna need that protein to help maintain that skeletal muscle mass as you're losing weight. So one thing Brian touched on when we were meeting too, that I was like, that's so important. The more deficit that you have in your calories, then you really need to make sure you're getting your protein, because your muscles need that protein, okay? So that lean body mass or lean muscle mass times 1 for your grams of protein, really reaching that goal or focusing on that to getting that in as part of your total calories, especially if you have a lot of weight to lose because you want to maintain that muscle mass.
Okay, last comments. I will throw out the supplement area.
Yes.
So my attitude on supplements is what is the least amount of supplements I need to take to get what I need to get to my goals. So I try to get as much as I can through real food, right? Whole foods, try to get everything, broad spectrum of stuff. And at the end of the day, it's like, hey, I'm still in a deficit of omega-3s. Those are essential. My brain, my eyes, my neurological system, all that stuff. So I need those omega-3s, so I'm going to supplement because I don't love salmon, right? So I'm gonna go to the store. We got our Patriot, NutriShop, GNC, Dan's, Big Dan. So those are all preferred vendors of ours. So they all have omega-3s. You can go there. They're all awesome. So get some omega-3s for the brain. It's great. If you have other stuff going on like joint issues or pain, obviously, again, drink your water. Work with the trainer, work on some of the imbalances with your muscles, and that alone will reduce it. But there's like turmeric, different joint formulas that can really drop inflammation beyond what your diet would do too. BCAAs, branched chain amino acids, that's one that comes up quite often. BCAAs is just the most abundant amino acids in your muscles. So when you're working out, working hard, your body uses those up. So that's the idea of just replenishing those to preserve the muscle while you're in a weight loss program. Again, it's, if you're eating your protein, right, it may not be essential. Those are just little things that you can do to add on to it, right? So just look at your budget and then, go with that. So lots of different supplements, lots of great ones out there. I just kind of be like, okay, what do I need? What do I not need? Still need to pay my mortgage and all that stuff, so.
Yeah. Any other questions? this one, yeah, and this is where the trainers and everything, and you can come take a picture of the board too.
This
if you
one?
need it.
Yeah, it was your lean body mass divided by what?
Yeah, divided by 1 minus your desired body fat. So,
Okay.
so she started at 39.1. We're going to drop 4%, get it down to 35.1. So you just move the decimal point over 2 with the
Okay.
percentage. So it's 1 minus 0.35. And so it's 117.5 divided by this number, which is 0.649 equals 181. So
Okay. It was 1 divided by your, okay.
kind of complicated, but that's just a way so you can see like, hey, I don't have this weight that's just really not realistic because I'm gonna have to lose a lot of muscle just to achieve it, right? And I just got this time period, so I think that's a good way to do it. So, yeah.
So, you both are really good living examples. Are you naturally slim?
I would say genetically, I have both sides. I have the long and lean, and then I have the one that you have to fight for it constantly. to
Short,
get
fat,
there.
and squatty, all
So,
that in
yeah.
the box.
So, just kind of a testimony of myself too. Like through having kids and all of that, you know, my weight's gone up, my weight's gone down, and I would say I've always liked to be active, but when I really focused on my nutrition is when I had the best
So,
results.
what is the percentage of protein, carbs, or, sugar, fat that you eat?
So with my macros, I honestly, that because of the whole calculating and all of that, for myself, I focus on the no sugar added as a big part of it. And then with that plate thing, I always say, okay, what is my protein? Okay, what are my vegetables? Okay, what's my carbohydrate? And then my healthy fats as
Have you
well.
ever
So,
heard of non-plate?
yeah, mm-hmm,
I have one.
yeah,
Never used it.
never used, yeah. So,
I look at it
I look at it, yeah.
and put more on the plate.
But yes, so, and then yeah, with the plate too, it's like, okay, it should be the size of my 2 hands put together, not, yeah, so. But I would say, so with that, I would say that would put me more at, between 30 and 40% of carbs, 30 and 40% of protein. So, depending on that, and then the rest fats. So.
I guess really what my question is, could I use that instead of having to do the numbers?
Well, those percentages are going to directly come from your number. Yeah. And we can calculate that together if you need. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I can sign off your nutrition ticket if you have to leave.
I'm just really cold.
Okay. So, okay, our final statement, and then we'll wrap it up here. Different protein sources. So, protein's probably the hardest to get in. Sugar, carbohydrates, not a problem. I got that covered, right? Fats are also pretty easy to go down, right? Getting healthy fats may take a little work, but it's still pretty easy. Just throw down avocado, grab some macadamia nuts, poof, you're there, pretty quick. But the protein, so yeah, I've talked about this in the past. My favorite thing that I found this year was this little meat tenderizer. It's got like 36 little blades. So now I can eat steak, and it goes down a lot easier. It's more enjoyable instead of just gnawing on this piece of meat for half an hour. So that's my favorite kitchen tool of the year. But yeah, branching out, maybe you're vegetarian. So I work with vegetarians, vegans, whatever, it doesn't matter. Still, right, you're gonna get more carbohydrates. But again, if there's more fiber in those carbs, it's okay, right? You're not gonna be in a constant insulin spike. If you're vegan, vegetarian, and just eating refined carbs, that's where the problem comes in, right? So you got your beans and your grains, you can complement those or mix those together, beans and rice, all that stuff, makes a complete protein. So then you can go supplemental, if it's just like, hey, I'm doing everything I can to get my protein quota, okay, I'm gonna bring in some whey protein powder, or up at the front desk, we got the Orgain vegetarian protein powder too. And it's really like, what does my stomach handle? My encouragement would be read your labels when it comes to that kind of stuff. right? Do I want all the artificial sweeteners, right? There's so many products out there that you don't have to settle for artificial stuff, right? So get something that's got, maybe it's the stevia or just a natural product, natural sweetener in it. Yeah, so again, some people, you'll have the Orgain, it's like, oh, gut bomb, and then the whey works better, or vice versa. You just find something that works for you, and then, again, try your hardest to get the whole foods, but if you're in a pinch and you want to reach your goal, then you can throw that in.
Yeah, so, and I would say too, like if you're on the go and you need something, you know, getting a protein powder, but eating your whole foods is gonna be best. Anytime you heat something up, it kills things. So when you're getting a protein powder, if it's cold processed, that's gonna be better because it's gonna have those natural amino acids in it. When they heat it up and they kill them off, then they have to add them back in and it's synthetic. So again, all those supplement companies that we were talking about, you can go in there, you can ask them for the high quality protein powders out there. So, and then I like this one from Costco, and it has lots of good stuff in it. It has stevia in it for its sweetener. Okay, so stevia in it. Oh, this is Orgain, yeah. So this is one that I like, but yeah, there's lots of different stuff out there.
All right.
I have one more question. Sorry, I keep hearing conflicting things about eggs.
About what?
Eggs.
Eggs. In regards to cholesterol? Okay, yeah, so there's a lot of cholesterol in eggs, there's a lot of cholesterol in red meats. It all goes to your liver, gets broken down and repurposed for hormones, for building blocks. Your brain has a tremendous amount of cholesterol in it, right? So as we get down in, or longer in the years, right, it's just like, hey, you need to take this cholesterol medication, and then you reduce the cholesterol, and then you're reducing all the functional stuff in your brain, so you're like accentuating the dementia and the Alzheimer's, all that kind of stuff. So cholesterol is not bad. So my biggest thing with cholesterol is the sugar again, right? That's what creates the small sticky cholesterol. Even LDL cholesterol is not bad. It's big fluffy stuff that doesn't stick. It's a subcategory, the VLDL, very low density lipoprotein, that's kicked out from that sugar intake. So again, you can eat the eggs, right? It gets all broken down. It's not going to have a direct correlation to going right into your blood cholesterol, right? Unless your liver just is completely dysfunctional, right? You should be completely fine. So, yeah, and I've personally, and with lots of clients, done lots of blood work, consuming large mass quantities of eggs. I work out, I drink my water, do all that kind of stuff, and cholesterol is like perfect. It's good, yeah. So watch the sugar, yeah, in regards to that. Okay, so that's a wrap. I know you guys got to go. So if you do have other questions, we'll stick around for a few minutes and answer those. And up at the front desk, Ricky up there made some little cutouts, forms for your macros if you want to track them daily. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for proteins, fats, carbs. If you like to write, otherwise you can track on your apps. So, all right, thanks guys, and thanks at home.